arose from their bed and they prayed. They prayed for mercy and for deliverance. They prayed in thanksgiving for what God had done for them. They prayed for their ancestors and for each other. They prayed that God would allow them to live together to a happy old age. On their wedding night, Tobiah and Sarah prayed together. It was in prayer that their marriage began. And for Al and Kristine, it is in prayer, in the midst of the celebration of the Eucharist, that you two will begin your lives together. These two great sacraments, Eucharist and marriage, are naturally drawn together because they show us the depth of God's love. In the Eucharist, Christ gives himself to us so that we might be more like him. In receiving the body and blood of Christ, God's love becomes physically real. And Al and Kristine, as you two receive Christ in the Eucharist, I ask you to do so frequently in your married life. Because the grace that is given in receiving Holy Communion will be grace that you will need to have a happy and holy marriage. Because Eucharist and marriage go together. In marriage, the love of husband and wife mirrors the love of Christ for his church. It is the love described in St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. Christ's love for the church is patient and kind. It is not jealous or pompous or inflated or rude. In loving the church, Christ does not seek his own self-interest. And in the sacrament of marriage, you, Al, and you, Kristine, are being called to love each other as Christ loves the church. So it's quite fitting that you chose St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians. Read this passage often. Be inspired and challenged by it. Because it is in loving as Christ loves that your marriage will bear fruit. In the midst of these two great sacraments, I thought it appropriate to hear from the two who will be receiving these two sacraments. And so I share with you a few of Al and Kristine's own words about each other and what these sacraments mean to them. I first asked them why, out of all the people in the world, they are marrying the other. And Kristine said, "From almost the first moment we met, Al and I were friends. The kind of friends that it felt like we had already known each other for a long time. It stayed like that for quite some time. I used to pray to God to help me find that special person. And when I talked to my mom about it, she would tell me that it would happen when it was the right time. When Al moved back to Tulsa from Chicago, it made me really sad and upset. And then it hit me that Al might have been that special person I asked for. And I just hadn't had my eyes open wide enough to see it. It seemed like the right time, and yet we were in separate places. So I planned a trip to visit Al here, little knowing I'd moved to Tulsa a year and a half later to be with him. Now I know I would move anywhere to be with him. I'm marrying Al because he has become my family. He makes me laugh when I want to cry. He makes sure I eat when he knows I'm getting grumpy. He holds my hand when I'm scared, and he brings me flowers for no reason at all. I feel lucky and blessed every day to have found Al." To the same question, Al said, "I'm marrying Kristine because I would be an absolute idiot not to." She is sweet, caring, understanding, forgiving, creative, brilliantly smart, beautiful, and loving. The first time I ever saw her in that office building in downtown Chicago, I knew there was something quiet but powerfully special about her. I was right. I feel lucky every day that she loves me. I asked them why they are specifically choosing Christian marriage here in the church. And Al said, I enjoyed what being Catholic did for me and my family as I grew up. It brought us together and gave us unifying guidelines to live by. In our family life to come, I want to encourage that togetherness, as well as a constant gratitude for all of the things we have received in this life. And Kristine said, we are choosing Christian marriage because we both have firm beliefs in our religion, and we give thanks to God for bringing the two of us together to live out the rest of our days. We recognize marriage as a sacrament, not something to enter into lightly, but a relationship between ourselves and God that is going to take kindness and understanding to work. I see our Catholic faith lived out in the way we treat each other, both ourselves and our families. If we continue to be open with each other and considerate of each other's feelings, it will make us stronger as a family. We are both excited to have children one day and want to raise them in the Catholic faith as we both were. I asked them what they're looking forward to about being married and what they love most about each other. Kristine said, what most excites me about getting married is simply that I get to be Al's wife. That's such an amazing thing, and I'm the one that somehow got the job. I know it's going to work, and it won't always be fun and easy, but I'm excited that we get to figure it out together. I think we make a really good team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what life has in store for us. And what does she love most about Al? She said Al has many good traits. He's smart, creative, handsome, and talented. But the thing I love most about Al is his kindness. Most people see Al as the funny guy, which he definitely is. But he's also one of the kindest people I know. He's really good at showing people they're loved through both his words and his actions. He would hate to hurt anyone's feelings and often goes out of his way to make sure he doesn't. And he writes and performs great music. What girl doesn't love a musician? And Al said of Kristine, I want to spend as much time with Kristine as I possibly can. I want to show my gratitude for what we have found in each other by committing to the very serious bond of marriage. I actually have let myself get sad sometimes that I just now found her. And what does he love about her? Al said that's a tough one. Not the what do I love part, but the most part. Her cute smile, her squeezes, her understanding, how she always holds my hand, her honesty, absolute genuineness as a person, and her ability to understand me. So there we have it. Al and Kristine and their feelings for each other here in the midst of these two great sacraments. In her response, Kristine said, I know it's going to be work, and it won't always be fun and easy. And I think you're right. Ask any married person here and they will tell you that Kristine is indeed right. That marriage is not easy. That marriage will require hard work. But God is with you. He has given you the good example of your parents. He has given you loving family and supportive friends. But most of all, God gives you himself in the Eucharist and his grace in the sacrament of marriage. He loves you. And it is because of that love that you can love each other. So rely on him. Turn to him. And in his grace, love him and live together to a happy old age. The wedding party will please stand. Alfred and Kristine, have you come here freely and without reservation to give yourselves to each other in marriage? Will you love and honor each other as husband and wife for the rest of your lives? Will you accept children lovingly from God, bring them up according to the law of Christ? consent before the church. May the Lord in his goodness strengthen your consent and fill you both with his blessings. What God has joined, men must not divide. Amen. Lord, bless and consecrate Al and Kristine in their love for each other. May these rings be a symbol of true faith in each other, and always remind them of their love. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. Kristine, take this ring. Kristine, take this ring. As a sign of my love and fidelity. As a sign of my love and fidelity. In the name of the Father. In the name of the Father. And of the Son. And of the Son. And of the Holy Spirit. And of the Holy Spirit. Al, take this ring. As a sign of my love and fidelity. In the name of the Father. And of the Son. You'll please stand.
A warm love reaching out to others, and good health until a ripe old age. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear.
Holy Spirit. Mass is ended. Go in peace. Thanks be to God. On behalf of Father Sweat, Father Josh, it is my pleasure to introduce Al and Kristine October.
Welcome to all of you guys. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Zach Litwack. I've known Al for about 20 years, which I guess makes me a common law guy. I think, right? Al and I met when we were 11 years old, so that would have made us in 7th grade, I believe. I think so. So I want to tell you about the first time I met Al. We had gym class together, actually. And that day, we had to play dodgeball. And those of you that know me know that I'm not the most athletically inclined person. So I was, in fact, the first person to get out. So I was sitting on the bleachers, and Al happened to be the next person to get out. So we have this in common. Basically, I was feeling pretty down about it. Dodgeball it's a rough game. It's pretty cutthroat. He and I did not know each other whatsoever at this point. Okay, we were on either side of the bleachers, but within about 2 minutes or so, we were both sitting in the middle of the bleachers. And the one thing that we joined forces on was basically making fun of everybody else playing dodgeball. So by the end of class, we had a nickname for every person besides us who was actually still evidently good at dodgeball. Anyway, the point of the story is this. During that first conversation that I had with Al, there were 2 things I learned about him that I still think are true today. The first thing is that he was one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And I think anyone that knows him can attest to that. Still to this day, amazing. The second thing I learned about him is this. Truth be told, he started the name calling, probably in an effort to cheer me up because I was extremely down about what was going on. So the thing that I take from that is Al, in addition to being funny, is one of the kindest people that I know and one of the warmest and most loving people I know. Because on the surface layer, we definitely get this very charismatic, hilarious person, but underneath that, the thing that is always fueling all of that is a profound sense of love for people and for care for people. And in that one conversation I had from the very first time I ever met him as an 11-year-old, I saw those two things. And still today, those are both there. Even when we were kids, most of what kids talk about, 11-year-olds, you can probably guess. I'm not going to go into those things here. But even from day one, Al knew exactly what he wanted. We talked about what do we want our future to be like? What do we want life to be like when we're older? And first thing he always said was, I want a family. He said, I want to be like my dad. I want to have a big family. I want to share that kind of life with somebody else. And so today, I've always kept that in the back of my head, and I've always thought about that, still until this day. And so it's an amazing thing today to finally see you begin that life that you've always wanted, and actually find the person that you can share that kind of love with for the rest of your life. So I feel honored to know you, and I'm so happy that Kristine is the one. I approve. When Kristine first came into the picture, I kind of got all of the behind the scenes, because Al and I were roommates in Chicago, okay? The first time I ever met her was after a show that Al and I played together, because we played music for years and years and years. And he said, there's this girl that I work with, I don't know what it is, there's something about her. There's something about her I can't quite explain, but there's something special about her, right? And from then on out, I kept hearing about Kristine over and over and over again. It was a good thing. It was a good thing because when Al cares about somebody, he goes all the way. And I could see that. Even though they weren't dating yet, I could see that he really cared about her. Then he, unfortunately, wound up having to leave Chicago, and I thought, oh no, great. This is a woman I've been hearing about for about a year and a half. Unfortunately, that's as far as it's going to go. But as we all know, thankfully, things went further. Like I said a second ago, when Al cares about somebody, he goes all the way. He really gives his entire heart. He gives everything to that person. I think the fact that they were able to keep this relationship of theirs together at a long distance for such a long time, I think is a testament to that. And I think if anything, that means really, really good things for what they have coming for them. Because I know he's devoted to her, I know she's devoted to him, and I think they have a beautiful thing. So please raise your glasses. Please give a toast to their future together and their happiness.
Cheers. Cheers.
But I'm sure by the end of the night you will. My name is Rose Brewski, and I'm obviously Kristine's maid of honor. It was a crisp October day in Cleveland, and we were walking to the Panera to get something to eat. And Kristine kept talking about this guy, Al, and I thought something was up, because it's not like Kristine to talk about this guy for a long time with nothing going on. But she didn't say anything like date, boyfriend, or that she even liked him. She just talked about him a lot and was like, oh, I think I'm going to Tulsa, visit him, and maybe we'll hang out. So, dude, something is up. Kristine totally likes this guy. And, I know this because Miss Chris and I were roommates at freshman orientation at the University of Michigan. And we did some really awesome stuff there, like stalking the men's gymnastics team. Yes, Justin Tobin, who made the Olympic team, and then I got a hug from Conan Persahowski, and it was all good times. We did some walking around the Arboretum at night. I remember Lauren and Shauna, everyone starts running, I fell, Kristine was all like, ah! It was fun times. And I think one of my favorite was the semester that Purple Rain played on the RHA channel every Friday. So we go to class, we'd eat, and then we would watch Purple Rain every single week. It was just so awesome watching it. So when Kristine was like, "Gal, blah, blah, blah," I was like, dude, it's just totally in it. And then one day, she said a long-distance relationship, and I felt really quite avenged. I felt pretty good about that. So, what I really wanted to know is how awesome is this guy? Because I feel very protective of Kristine, and she talked about moving to Tulsa, and I was like, look, you can't move to Tulsa before I know who this guy is. But then Al came to Ann Arbor, and we went out to dinner, and not only was he talking about how musically inclined he is, but then we went back to my house, and we rocked a game of Trivial Pursuit. And then I knew that it was okay for my friend to marry this guy, and for her to be with him. So, I just want to say congratulations, and I'm so glad to be a part of this wonderful celebration of you two. And in Polish, to wszystkiego najlepszego, moje przyjaciółka. And to Kristine now.